Hey everybody. So, quick tip for today. I bumped into a judo Olympic bronze medalist, two-time judo Olympic bronze medalist, who's he trains professional MMA fighters. He trains everyone. He's incredible. Um, I was lucky to meet him several months ago, but he said something to me because I like when meeting people, whoever it is, whether it's a homeless person or a super wealthy person, someone who's healthy, whoever it is, I love asking them just, I want to know like what, I like getting advice from people, not necessarily to like shape my life, but it's just I'm interested to know like, what has been helpful to people. So I asked him, is there anything that you recommend? Just for competitions, for just in general. Anything that has helped you throughout your, to get you to where you are. Olympic bronze medalist two times. Pretty incredible. For Cuba, Cuban Olympic judo uh, competitor. Pretty amazing, really high standards. So he said, know who you are and know what you want. And I wrote it down. I remember it every day. I remember it. Um, and it's really, really good teachings because you can rephrase that in a lot of different ways. You can apply that to a lot of things, not just sports. You can apply it to business, relationships, everything in life. It's where confidence comes from. When you know who you are, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. Why is it important to know who you are and know what you want when it comes to fighting? Because that's what he is. He's a fighter. So when he goes in against his opponent's going to do everything in his power to make this person who I met, or anyone, doubt themselves. And guess what? So is the world. The world, the people out there in the world, there's going to be an endless stream of things that are going to doubt you, that are going to put doubt into your mind, that are going to test your confidence, that are going to shake your self esteem, that every day you're going to go out in the world and you're going to feel like you're not good enough, you're going to feel like you don't fit in, you're going to feel like a whole long list of things. There's something wrong with you, you'll never be, successful, you'll never be happy, you'll never be rich, you'll never, it's a big long list of things. In the movie, I think it was Rocky Balboa, not the originals though, one of the more recent ones. He has this awesome little speech. You can go YouTube it. It's got a ton of views already, where he talks about nothing in life. Well, yeah, nothing's gonna hit you harder than life. All right. I'm not gonna do a Rocky impression, but that's what he's like. He's like, nothing is gonna hit you harder than life, right? But a fight is a perfect analogy for life because when you go into a fight, your mind has to be strong. It's not so much about your physical, your endurance is important, yes, but it's not that as important as the mind. Your speed is very important, yes, but it's not as important as a focused mind. Your creativity, your talent, your strength, everything, yes, they're important, but none of them come close to the mind. Fighting, they say, is a mental sport. The majority of it is mental. It's about, do you believe in yourself? Do you have that self-belief? What is that self-belief? Is comes back to what he said, which is know who you are. If you know who you are, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you. Doesn't matter if people think you're a liar or a cheater. Doesn't matter if other people think you're a loser. Doesn't matter if other people think you're uncool. None of that matters. All that matters is what you know about yourself and who you know yourself to be. And how do you know who you are? How do you figure it out? Who am I, right? Know who you are. Know who you are, right? Who are you exactly, right? It can get deep, right? It can get really deep. You can look at it from a surface level of, I'm a musician, I'm a, artist, I'm a businessman, I'm a human, or you can go super, 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 super deep, where a lot of people believe we're all just the manifestation of one existence, one entity. There's a lot of people who believe that, including this person over here. I believe that. I believe that it's it's we can get really deep about, you know, realizing who you are, and then understand what is it that you want, right? What is it that you want? Do you want to win, in a fight, or do you want to? I heard this the other day. It was so true. Oh, it was on Game of Thrones. Like, I recently did a binge watch of Game of Thrones, and I tell you, the Hound character is one of my favorite characters on that show. He's so cool and so much wisdom. In fact, I would love it if somehow, by some miracle, the Hound from Game of Thrones did a guided meditation audio. How awesome would that be? I would listen to that every day, you know? Like, it would just be so cool. I could just imagine it being hilarious. So, it'd probably be stuff like, now breathe in, fucker. Now breathe out. I don't know. I can't do a Hound impression either, but it would be pretty funny, I think. So, the Hound in Game of Thrones says, win first, look good second, right? And when it comes to fighting, yes, it's important. But that rule doesn't apply to everything in life, okay? It can. It depends what you want. And that's what it's all about when he says, know who you are first, and then second, know what you want. And know what you want, what does that tie into? It ties into goals, right? Having goals. And that's 50% of the battle. So this Olympic medalist, who I had the honor of meeting, who's an incredibly focused, incredibly powerful guy. Small, by the way, small guy, but very powerful, very, just a force, an incredible person, has basically broken his whole life down into two things, and he's just kept it simple, and he's focused on those two things, and guess what? Those two things cover pretty much everything. Know who you are, know what you want. Knowing what you want is goals, right? What do you want? Do you want to be, what's your goal? The ultimate goal of all, I think, should be happiness, right? Health, prosperity, right? Enjoying life. That should be the goal. Money, boyfriends, girlfriends, cars, they're just tools to make you feel good, to make you feel secure, to make you feel whole, right? But the ultimate goal, the ultimate uh, destination is that feeling good, right? Not just, and how do you feel good? We feel good when our family feels good, when our friends are safe, when we're healthy, when we're driven, when we're focused, when we're not sitting around and we don't have anything to do, and we start to cause drama and problems in our life, right? So yes, it's two very simple ways of breaking down everything. Know who you are first and foremost, then know what you want. But those two simple topics, they they can stem into 1,000 different things. How to know what you want, and how to know who you are, right? So know who you are. Again, going back to that, very important, right? How can you do that? Like some people might find it difficult. Well, I don't know who I am. I just, identity crisis, perhaps, right? Like I just don't know who I am. With one person, I'm one way. With another person, I'm another way. And with another in another setting or environment, I behave differently. And in this, so I don't know who I am. Who am I? Well, you're all of those things. It doesn't mean you're being fake if you're one way with one person and a different way with another person. We're incredibly complex beings. And our personality, I would argue, and again, this might be a bit too deep for practical uses, but I think it's very useful and it helps me in life to see things in a more effective way, helps me navigate in my life in a more effective way. And that is when I realize that my personality is simply an interface. You can call it the ego, right? Your ego, your personality, is an interface. It's like an operating system with the world. It helps us translate whatever is behind all of this, the ones and zeros, in computing, everything's ones and zeros, but it's like billions of different sequences and patterns and alternations of the ones and zeros. You see, my computer programming degree actually like helped a little bit, even though I didn't hardly, it was just very difficult for me. It's hard topic, but the ones and zeros, that's how programming, that's how it is at its core. But you can't understand a sea of ones and zeros, right? It's like the matrix, right? You look at the matrix, you won't be able to figure it out, but you know, you need an interface to be able to translate it. And that's what our personality is. Our personality is like an interface with different situations, with different environments to help us what? To help us survive. Doesn't mean you're being fake if one person brings something out of you, another person brings something else out of you. No, those are just different aspects of your personality. There's a lot of people out there who will be like, no, I'm the same person with everyone and in every situation. Well, great. Good for you that you've managed to do that. Like cover that entire broad spectrum, just being who you are. There's going to be advantages of that. There's going to be disadvantages with that. Just off the top of my head, a few of the advantages are you're not going to stress, you're not going to care what people think of you, you're going to be focused on who you are, your goals, what you want to do, and everything else can go to hell, right? Now, that's the disadvantage, is that sure, you're going to free yourself of maybe a lot of stress in one way, but on the other hand, if you're so focused on just one character or one interface with the world, well, that interface might not work in all kinds of situations. So you might wind up being, you know, narrowing your opportunities. Again, I'm not saying one way is good or one way is bad. Good and bad are basically, they depend on what you need at the time, right? Or what is going to be best for you and the people and your environment at the time. And it's always going to be changing. So good and bad will always change. The definitions will always change. Okay? If we want to go real deep about it, I mean, right? But without getting too confusing, so yes, our personality is an interface, and there's nothing wrong. Yeah, make sure that every personality that emerges or every side of you that emerges, some people bring out the funny side of you, some people bring out the serious side of you, some people bring out the your fear. Some people bring out your love. We're incredibly complex, and we're not just one personality. We have we're comprised of a mix of things. We have an angry self, we have a sad self, we have a child within us, a fragile self, we have an adult, mature, strong, confident person within us. We are incredibly complex, incredibly amazing beings and creatures. Make sure every one of those personalities that comes out is is um, is a good one. It serves you, is healthy, and for this day and age that we live in, and I foresee for forever and from the past into the future, integrity, honesty, respect, kindness. Sure, those things perhaps didn't help at some point in time when people were raping, murdering, pillaging, destroying. If you were kind and everyone will if you were in a Buddhist community and were kindness and love, you'd probably get decimated, right? They'd just get wiped out by the raping, pillaging Vikings that would come in and, be like the Hound and be like these pussies in their robes, just axing them left, right, and center, kidnapping their women, raping them, and cooking their children. Sorry, this is getting X-rated. But you get the point, right? 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago, life was very different, but there were still incredibly brave people. And man, when I think of like how brave they must have been, people like, you know, the Jesuses of the world, the Buddhas, all the great people, not just the spiritual people, but the great leaders who were good, who believed in kindness. In England, you had the the knights, right? And the knights were supposed to like be gentlemen, like really good people, and gentlewomen, right? Like um, just having that knightly behavior, and all around the world, the samurais, they had the Bushido culture. So it seems as though brutality, the good and evil, if you want to like call it that, like have been like struggling, or just this, it's like a driver. Throughout history, it's existed and it exists today, and sometimes evil starts to get a bit cockier and confident. But at the end of the day, I believe for every dick that's out there in the world, there are 10 undercover cool people. Because cool people, we tend to like not be as aggressive and vocal as the dicks out there. But when the shit really hits the fan and we have to wake up, you know, there's no chance. Evil, I've said it in a lot of my videos, is always going to lose. Why? Because evil comes from fear. You know, when I say evil, I mean, like when people are dicks, and they're just, it comes from insecurity. When people are mean or rude or try to put you down or try to hurt you, which, by the way, there's a ton of people out there who are like that. Doesn't mean, by the way, that people are black and white, good or bad. No. We all have some good in us. We all have some bad in us. We're a mix of all those things. And that's why it's important to do the self-work, right? The self-improvement work. And to refine yourself in every way, physically, mentally. The more we refine ourselves, that's how our world becomes better, right? As Michael Jackson said, right? Take a look at yourself and make that change, right? So, but it's true. It's true. Don't have to worry about fixing other people. Don't have to worry about, oh, the world is like this and like that, or oh, the people at my gym are like this, or the people at work are like this, or God, why is everybody in my town like this? No, just focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. The best way to lead and influence and inspire people, even if you're a parent trying to lead and influence and teach your children, it's not going to be through telling them what to do or telling them what not to do. If there's any parents out there watching, I'm sure you've figured this out by now, that children are going to copy, they're going to model themselves on you, on your behavior. They're like sponges. They're gonna see like how you behave, and they're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's okay then, so I can do that too, right? So I was in Bali my first or second week, and I was just at a coffee shop. I was having a drink, and this guy, just like big German guy. I think I mentioned him in one of my videos before. Maybe when it happened, the day it happened, I might have made a video about it. But he comes up to me for some reason, just open heart, very strong connection with this person. We could just, I guess, feel something, strong connection. In my opinion, this guy is like a prophet. And look, long ago we had like maybe one or two prophets, three or four. Nowadays there's thousands. There's 1,000 Jesuses out there. More than that, spreading good things. And in my opinion, he was a prophet, right? And I would later, I was living in this town, later would come to find that this guy would do this often with a lot of people. He comes up to me, and amazing energy, and super strong guy, by the way. His voice was identical to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he comes up to me, and he was just like, hey, how you doing? And, how's your day? Um, and he starts massaging me for just straight to touch, and I'm like, whoa, who's this guy? And I'm like, what's going on? But I felt good, I felt safe, I didn't feel threatened at all. And he gave me like a 1 minute massage that was amazing. Like, he really opened up a lot of things, and back there. But the reason I bring him up is because he said something to me in that brief encounter I had with him. He said, because again, I asked him, just like I asked the judo guy, hey, what is it? Is there something that you can pass on? Something that I want to take from you and remember? And what he said was that, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was along the lines of, our behavior allows other people to behave in the same way. It was along those lines, going back to like being a good leader, teacher, parent. If you cuss and swear and use bad language, well, you're basically telling your kids that that's okay. You're allowed to do that. And his point to me was, if you can just be open and have the guts to be yourself, you give permission. That's what it was. That's how he worded it. You give permission to others to also be themselves. And it really hit me, and I'm like, man, that is so true, because we're all really just so afraid, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, it's just natural. So never think that there's something wrong with us. It's just natural. We have every right to be afraid. Okay, it's not a bad thing. But being so afraid, we can sometimes feel mean to each other, or feel intimidating to each other, or feel, unfriendly to each other. But when you get someone who comes out and breaks that ice and just opens themselves up and is ridiculous and makes mistakes and just opens their heart, well, it gives everyone else in the room permission to like relax a little bit too. And hey, you don't have to be so uptight, you don't have to worry about, being judged, right? So on the topic of judgment, in the Bible, I believe it says, judge not, for thee be judged thyself. And I believe, like, whoever wrote the origins of that sentiment are so deep and so, like, poetic and so powerful. And a lot of the Bible, I believe, is very misunderstood. A lot of the religious texts, the Quran, the old, texts, I think they're very misunderstood. The heaven is not like some place. Heaven is right here. You do good deeds, and you're going to feel heaven within you. The kingdom of God is is you, is within you. That's what the kingdom of God is. So if you're going to go to hell, it's going to be if you're doing what you know to be wrong. And you're your own judge. Anyway, going back to judge not, for for thee be judged thyself. Basically, it's saying don't judge, because if you judge, you're going to be judged, right? Now, that is incredible psychology, because psychologically, if I'm going to walk around, and this is something that I'm not perfect with, this is something I'm always trying to improve, and it's critical. It's one of the top of my list for my self-improvement, self-development, is to be less judgmental. Look, we're going to judge at the end of the day. You need to figure out, am I going to pick up a spoon or a fork? Am I going to walk through a brick wall or through a door? So some judging needs to happen, right? But balance, right? You don't want to be judging things extremely, especially in a way that doesn't serve, that makes your life more difficult. You see someone and you're like, God, immediately judging them. Like, look, they're wearing this, or they're behaving this. They must be a Republican, and because they're a Republican, I'm not going to get along with them, right? And then you've got that belief now in your head that you hate this person because of something about them, right? That you've judged, right? So, when in the Bible it says, don't judge, because if you judge, you're going to be judged, it's absolutely true. Why? Because if you are going around doing that to everyone, then you're going to think everyone is doing that to you. It's amazing how it works, but you're going to walk around all day long thinking people are judging you. Why? Because we tend to think people are like ourselves. You know, we tend to think, well, I do this, so everyone else might be doing this. Or, you know, I'm judging everyone, so everyone else probably looking at me with the way that I look at them. That's why you see in a lot of great teachings, philosophy, you know, spiritualists, martial artists, musicians, you'll see this theme pop up over and over of, you know, the world is a reflection of who you are. Your outside world is a reflection of what's going on within you. It's so true. People are mirrors of yourself. You know, what you see and what you focus on within yourself, whether it's fearful thoughts, oh, stress, oh, I'm not going to be, you know, life sucks, you know, this, then you're going to see that out in the world. But if you look within yourself and say, man, I lie a lot, but that's okay. It's normal, and I'm working on it. And I can still love myself, even though I'm not perfect and I lie. Or I have bad habits that I'm ashamed of. You know, I do bad things, whatever it is, stealing, cheating, porn, you know, sex addiction, alcoholic, not a good parent, whatever. As long as you can look at yourself with love and say, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I love and I'm myself and I'm working on myself and I am going to make an effort to be a better person. Then the way you look at yourself, you will look at others. And if you spot imperfections with them, because you've trained yourself to see things with love, you will be seeing them the same way you will see yourself. So usually when you hate people around you, when you're like, God, I hate everyone, or everyone sucks, or people suck, you know, humans suck, it's usually because you hate yourself, right? Which is why everything comes back to self-love at the end of the day, and understanding truly what that means. Self-love isn't some hippie nonsense where you're like, love, love, yeah, man, oh, fuck you, Donald Trump, you know, oh, fuck you, this, you know, oh, but love, love, you know, love, oh, yeah, I'm gonna have my green smoothie, and I'm a vegan, and yeah, let's smoke some weed. And I smoke weed. I love weed, right? I also love a lot of vegan food, and I also love meat, and I also love, this and that. And there's things about Donald Trump that I think are good, believe it or not, you know. I hate that he's our president. He's creating a lot of divisions, but there's good and bad everywhere. And as I said, that's true love. You know, no one's perfect. None of us are perfect, right? But it has to start here. It has to start with the way you view yourself. So that's all you have to do is focus on yourself. It's the answer to everything. You want to be a better parent? Well, be a better person because your children are going to copy what you do. They're going to be inspired by what you do. They're going to be inspired in some way by what you're doing. Some kids rebel, some kids don't. But at the end of the day, we model ourselves on everyone. We model ourselves on actors that we've watched growing up in movies. We've modeled ourselves on our parents, on our friends. We take things that we like and we think work. We create that interface I was talking about at the beginning of the video. We Frankenstein. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but we create this personality that helps us through the world, helps us achieve what we want, right? So know who you are, know what you want, and yeah, pass it on. If someone does something cool to you, if someone gives you a smile, a random act of kindness, someone's cool, you know, you're driving and someone lets you, you know, go in front of them, whatever. If someone does something cool, you know, there's that Way of Living. It was a movie about it. Pay it forward, right? We need to do that more. Like I'm making that a rule. It's a recent thing I started doing. That if someone does something cool to me, I'm going to the next person I meet, I'm going to do my damn best to pass it on to them, right? We're not perfect. I'm not perfect, by the way. I get yeah, some funny comments sometimes, great comments. Mostly it's always good, isn't it? Like people are positive and sharing and appreciative, but you're always going to get haters. Haters are a good sign. Haters are a good sign that you're being successful. If you have no haters, you're not successful. You're not there yet, right? As Joe Rogan, someone who I, follow and look up to, he's a cool guy. He's not like perfect at all. He's a great speaker. He's confident. Confidence is his greatest skill. But he's not perfect. I don't agree with everything he does or says. And but he's a good teacher. He shares a lot of good. But Joe Rogan, on the topic of haters, says that a lot of the times the comments or the people that are saying hurtful things, they help him see things that he might not always see. So, being open sometimes to those things are important. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up now, get on with the rest of the day. Hope everyone out there is well, sending you all the best. You know, leave you with one last thing. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard a lot of what I'm talking about before, but in case you haven't, I'm digesting everything that I have absorbed in my life into these little videos. And one last thing for now is that you are the there's a saying that you're the average of all the people that you surround yourself with, right? So if you're surrounding yourself with bitter, negative, complaining people, well, that's what you're going to become. And it doesn't end with people. Everything, the music you listen to is super important. It can condition your brain, your mind. Just the other day, I realized that my Spotify is very random. It goes from like gangster rap from the 90s to like classical music, like for film scores, like Hans Zimmer stuff, to like metal, to folk, to everything. And you gotta watch out because one to another can affect your personality as well, right? You can wind up maybe going up and down more, going into different moods more easily. So you can use things like music or movies to condition you. You know, fighters do that. They use music, certain music, they'll just keep, gets them in that, conditions them in that zone. So, use all these things. Be aware of your environment. It's not just that you're the average of your friends. You're going to be the average of everything that you're exposing yourself to in life. Whether it's the food you're eating, you know the drill, right? I always repeat it in my videos. The music you listen to, the movies, every detail of your life, the clothes you wear, the thoughts you think, most importantly, right? All right, everybody. Adios for now, and talk to you all soon. Bye. One last thing. For any of you out there who are more interested in the deeper stuff, when I was talking about know who you are and know what you want, well, at the root of everything, could it possibly be that when I say know who you are, what it really is just we are existence and know what we want? And that is probably to exist, right? So it is interesting. Not that you got to spend your entire life trying to figure out what makes this boat sail. There's a lot of people who do that. They get so preoccupied with, what is all this about and what's going on and, how does this boat work? And you spend your entire life focusing on how the boat works and what's it all about and whoa, like how did these sails get attached and who put all these screws in here and then before you know it, the journey's over and you didn't enjoy the journey. So, right? That's where at least I've come. I came to that way of thinking a while ago, and I realized, you know what? It's doing no good just like trying to figure everything out. It's like sometimes, there's animals out there who can't see in color. Their life is black and white. You cannot even begin to explain to them what color is. They're happy with black and white. Black and white is complete to them, right? So it's maybe the same with us. We have to acknowledge the fact that, we might not be equipped to fully understand everything. Just like a dog isn't equipped to fully understand what color is or whatever, right? But yeah, perhaps all the point of everything is just existence wishing to exist. And that's it. Now let's enjoy it. We're blessed to exist. All right, adios.